See you all today. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. To the Mentorship Spotlight virtual event, we're all gathered here to celebrate the first ever cohort of Women in 3D Printing Next Gen Mentorship Program. And I would like to start off with thanking all the mentors and mentees from the entire team of Women in 3D Printing. You have all been so generous with your time and energy, and you've inspired all of those around you with your passion for the additive manufacturing field. And I think you're all the real reason that we are here celebrating the success of this program. So thank you to all the mentors and mentees. I would also like to thank the Women in 3D Printing Next Gen team. It was so wonderful to work with all these inspiring, amazing women who've been putting in a lot of time and energy since January or even way before that of this year to make this program what it is today. And it was wonderful for me to even be included as a part of that team, and very fun, very satisfying, and I am so happy that I got to work with you all. With that, let me pull up my screen. We are going in a little bit. We're going to have a panel with a few of our mentors and mentees, and we're going to hear about their experience of the program. And I had a chance to talk with a few of you earlier now, and I hope to see you on the other side of the presentation, where we get to connect a little bit more. So with that, we are so proud to share that our first cohort, we were able to make 51 successful matches. Sometimes it's hard for me to believe that, we were able to match 100 people who are passionate about the additive manufacturing. We were able to match 100 people together, and allow them to have this experience. So very proud of the team, very proud of everybody involved. And we had 120 plus mentors who had signed up for cohort 1 and representing more than 50 organizations, including private companies, national laboratories, government organizations, and universities. I think when we were reviewing all the mentor applications, the entire team was overwhelmed by how much everybody wanted to give back to the industry, because they had help when they were younger or when they were just starting out in the industry and they want to pass it on. Or there were some people who were like, I didn't have any guidance and I don't want the next generation to not have guidance. So it was really touching to see all of the mentors who are giving their time to give back to the community. We had more than 120 mentees sign up for the program from 55 plus schools. And you can see a couple of them here. They're from all over the world. I think we have more than 30 plus countries represented. And it is such a satisfying feeling to know that we are making a difference for students and young professionals from all over the world. So this is awesome. Yeah, I'm going to give a hand to everybody involved in this. So with that, the short intro about the program, we are going to have a couple of our mentees come onto the stage, and we are going to look at their. If I can please ask Alex and Olivia to come onto the stage as well, and Lorana. Hello, ladies. How are you today?
Doing very well, Rashmi. Thank you for asking.
Hey, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here and for sharing your experience with everyone. Can we start off with introductions? How are you in the additive industry?
Yeah, is there an order you want to call out, or should we just do popcorn style?
Yeah, let's do popcorn style.
Sure, I can start. I'm Lorana Hughes. I'm a product manager at Entopology, which is software for design for additive manufacturing. And so I'm coming from the software industry. I was with Microsoft before as a dev and then a PM. And so in terms of though, I am a hobbyist, so I have a desktop 3D printer. I design and make things, and I would like to be able to make my own jewelry and even high heels. So that's what kind of got me into this space. So I'm really not familiar with industrial additive manufacturing, right? But then now that I'm with Entopology, I've been learning so much about the industry and was really excited to take part in the program. So I'll go ahead and pass to Olivia.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Me all right? All right, perfect. So my name's Olivia Krieger. I'm a student at the University of Wisconsin-Stout. I have been involved in additive pretty heavily since about 2019, where I picked up my own hobbyist 3D printer and then in the same month started working with industrial printers at my internship, which was really great. It was an excellent intro into additive. From there, I went over to Stratasys, and now I'm back doing industrial printing at Kohler Company. So I've had a little bit of experience in a lot of different places, and fell into the world of women in 3D printing back in March, and I've just had a phenomenal experience the entire time.
Awesome. Alex.
Yeah, so I'm Alex Ju, and I'm currently an MBA candidate at NYU Stern School of Business. I started 3D printing when I was doing my undergrad in jewelry and metalsmithing. So kind of like you mentioned, Lorana, like jewelry and 3D printing, they really go hand in hand. And from that experience, I ended up spending several years at HP. So first I was working in research in HP labs, working a lot with 3D printing, and then with automotive applications in particular before pursuing my MBA. And so I was really excited about this mentorship program because I really wanted to see like what are other opportunities in the additive space, kind of as I'm looking at what's next for my career.
Awesome. So we are going to jump right into it. And before we do, for all the other mentees and mentors out there, feel free to share your comments, or if you have anything, thoughts or questions in the general chat to the right of your screen. With that, I think the first thing that we really want to know is, what were the biggest learnings that you had from this program? Let's start with you, Alex. Maybe the top 2 things that you're going to take away from this program.
I think probably the number one thing for me is just like a whole new appreciation for marketing. In my previous experience, it was something I was a little hesitant to explore just because I was worried that then people would see me as less technical. And so getting the experience with the product marketing director from Stratasys was so helpful, especially since in my internship this summer, I've been doing a lot more product marketing type work. So even just like the frameworks or how to optimize how you write something for feedback, I think those are things I'm really going to take away. And then I think too, just seeing how another company operates and like the passion and enthusiasm that like really carries through across the industry, because I was really in a particular like bubble, I feel, for a long time. So that was also really rewarding and inspiring, I think, in thinking about continuing in 3D printing.
Wonderful. Olivia, what are the top 2 things that you will take away from the program?
So one of the big ones for me was learning a little bit more about how my mentor's company, Nike, actually runs their additive center and all of the effort that goes into that, and how you build a business case and how you can convince your higher ups to take on these new kind of more experimental technologies, and all of the challenges that come with that. So really thinking how to present a business case is one of the things that I learned. And then the second thing is really just how open and welcoming everyone in the AM community seems to be. I have had nothing but positive experiences with everyone involved in women in 3D printing and beyond, and really just learned so much, how much everyone really wants to help each other here.
I completely agree with that. Lorana?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I'm having a hard time like pinpointing two things in particular. But one of the things that I did, and I was, able to get work to support me through this, was I started taking the MITx course, Additive Manufacturing for Design, Innovation, and Production, in conjunction with the mentorship program, right? And so I was lucky that they kind of coincided, and so that course then. As I was learning through it, and I was able to then go to my mentor and review some of the materials with her and, bounce ideas off of her, talk about the case studies, and just get it like a really great like overview of the industry, right? And then the second thing isn't necessarily like, key learning, but I would say it's definitely something that you will get if you do this program, which is like really igniting your inspiration and invigorating you to, really tap into this industry. The people that you're going to be meeting are very passionate, they're very well connected, and they're very knowledgeable. So it really gives you that like extra like, oh yes, I'm into this. This is something that is for me and that I could absolutely do.
Wonderful. So that actually, let's take it to the second question, which is, it sounds like your experience is very dependent on your mentor. Obviously a huge part of it is how they interact with you. A controversial question, but did you come into the program expecting to be matched with someone like you got matched with? Were you happy with it? Or did your perspective change after maybe you had one meeting with them? Also, feel free to give shout out to your awesome mentors. Alex, Lorana, you go first.
Yeah, so I had the kind of like easy experience of being matched with exactly the type of like profile that I had requested. So I was with Julie, who was at NASA JPL, and I specifically wanted somebody who was, printing, who was very technical, and and in my mind, I was also saying like easy to talk to, easy to work with. I didn't necessarily put that down, but so I kind of got that like home run in a way. I know that wasn't the same experience for everybody, but so I would say that it is important to be open-minded though when you're being matched, because you'll find a lot of benefit from a variety of different experiences. But yeah, I had that kind of like easy home run.
Awesome. Julie Miller is actually a core member of this organizing committee, and she is awesome. Olivia.
Yeah, so I got matched with Harley over at Nike. He is their lead production manager for low volume, high value footwear currently, and was their former head of additive manufacturing. So I had so much to learn from him. And really, I did not expect it at all. I expected that when I signed up for the program, I'd get matched with like a mid-level AE at somebody's company, and we'd have, some really good conversations. I'd learn a lot about what they were working on, but really it was phenomenal being matched with Harley. And like I said, I've learned so much from him. And I came into this, ready to just kind of roll with anyone, but Harley has such a rich background in all things additive and business cases and everything like that. It was amazing to be matched with him. So I really appreciated it.
Glad to hear that. Alex?
Yeah, I was matched with Finn at Stratasys. Previously, he was with Origin, which was then acquired. And for me, I didn't really have a super specific ask. I was just curious, I think, to meet and learn from someone else. I was more on the business side of 3D printing since I'm getting my MBA. And I think kind of similar to what you said, Olivia, it was just so much more than I imagined. I think it was great that he had both the startup experience and then was moving into this like larger company through the acquisition with Stratasys. And then we were able to also like kind of bond over my having been at a larger company and then him now being part of it and share a lot of those experiences. And I think too, just learning the frameworks and such, I think I didn't really know what I wanted to get out of it, but it coincided really well then with the internship I got, which ended up being very similar to the kind of work he does. And I didn't know that when I applied, but it all, I think, just luckily worked out perfectly.
That's awesome. Alex, specifically for you, I remember that you were in such a technical side of the industry and you're doing your MBA. And you'd mentioned how awesome it was for you to see the entire business development strategy and marketing side. So very happy to hear that. Shout out to all the mentors, all the awesome mentors out there. And then my next question is, what was the most challenging part of the program for you all? Alex, we can start with you.
I think probably the biggest challenge I had was knowing what questions to ask. I think, at least for me, like I get really overwhelmed with the enormity of just how much I don't know. And like as you learn a little bit at a time, you just realize how much larger that space of what you don't know at all is. And so luckily Finn was very helpful in really laying out kind of frameworks and giving me a bigger picture and kind of working with me, sometimes asking very ambiguous questions to give me the resources to then ask things that were more targeted. So that definitely improved a lot over time, but was very difficult in the beginning.
Okay, would you, for all three of you actually, do you have any advice for mentees in the next cohorts? How better can they prepare themselves to overcome that challenge, whatever you faced?
I think maybe if you have a specific project or so in mind, like I think once I knew what my internship was and what that project was, that gave us something really concrete to talk about and work on improving. So I think if I had come in with maybe some more personal projects or so, that would have been really helpful to start with.
Okay. Olivia?
Yeah, so I think one of the harder things for me was, like I said, I had, anticipated somebody who had, I don't want to sound rude, but like a little bit lower qualifications who wouldn't be quite so intimidating, but yeah, getting matched with, with high-ranking people in these companies, it's amazing to get those opportunities to talk to them, but it can be really intimidating to have the vulnerability required out of a mentorship. So I think one of the challenges for me was getting over that fear of making a fool of myself and actually being able to talk about, the challenges I'm facing and what's going on and what questions I really have, no matter how basic they may seem to me.
Very fair. I'm nodding because my mentor, Stacy Del Vecchio, she is like the mother of additive for me. And I was so shy and meek in our first call. I think I was also nervous to speak, but they are the thing that I found out is everybody is so humble and kind and awesome and approachable that they really help you come out of that shell, even if you're nervous. Lirana, challenges.
Yeah, I'm really resonating with everyone right now, and so I want to mention two. So one for me was just the simple logistics of like, I'm working, I'm new to relatively new to my new position, and so the logistics of scheduling and just being able to carve time out for it during the day, right? With meetings, with this virtual environment. So that was one. And then secondly, really, Alex, what you said as well in terms of the challenge at times was, okay, it's kind of like this open slate. I'm here with somebody. Now we're going to have a conversation, right? It's like, okay, well, targeting and planning. So yeah, the really advice I would say for that is that to use the resources that are going to be provided to help frame and give you some sample questions, but then also as you maybe have like one or two sessions to then kind of narrow it down and think about, okay, what specific narrow focus should I, have as, my focus during the time with this person, right, to get the most out of it. And so mine ended up being, well, the focus is going to be a broad overview of the industry, right, and the different techniques, but it could be something very specific, or a project that you're working on, or a deep dive into materials, or a deep dive into certain part of the business, and really to think about that and try to plan. Oh no, I'm frozen.
Hopefully it'll reset itself in a second. Maybe you can try turning off your video and coming back on. Technical issues. But yeah, it was good to hear that from Lirana. Scheduling in a virtual world is definitely not an easy task to do. We've all been doing it for more than a year now. But we will also try to think from our team side if there is something we can do to improve that aspect. Yep, you're back.
Yeah, thanks. I froze, everything froze. Okay. So yeah, I'm not sure how much you heard, but it was essentially just like trying to think of, okay, what really do I want out of this and how am I going to focus the time with the person? And then also you could ask them as well, because that might be determinant. Like you could have a plan up front, but then depending on who you matched with, that might need to change, right? And you could also ask them for their ideas of like, hey, do you have anything that you think we should focus on, or that you especially would love to teach me, or, for example. And then for that first challenge, I would say, if you're working, just make sure that your manager is aware that you're participating in this program. They will likely be supportive and carve out time for you. And then if you're at university or whatever, or in a grad program, if your professors or something need to be aware. But I don't have much else to say about that second one, or the first one, just in terms of like, we have a lot going on, but you committed to this program. So since you've committed and this other person has committed to you, try to really follow through with that. And I definitely wish I could go back and not have canceled some of the sessions that I ended up canceling. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I think it's very dependent on the mentor and mentee, as you said, and you can have as many sessions as you would like, or as few as possible, as long as there are more than 3. And given that you have at least 3 months, I think that's a doable thing. Okay, quick thumbs up or thumbs down. Do you think you're gonna be in touch with your mentors after this program? Yay, okay, awesome. So last question for the mentee panel. Has there been any like a pivot that you've decided to do, even if it's really small, that maybe if you hadn't done this program, you would have done something different with your career? Olivia, because we know.
I'm starting a business.
That's awesome. You want to maybe talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's still in the very early stages right now, but essentially it focuses on using Entopology and using their workflow features to automate and optimize new forms of generative infill, as well as utilizing the jigs and fixtures and some other workflows that they already have a little bit pre-built. So basically bringing advanced manufacturing to the masses of existing manufacturing plants that aren't quite ready to fully commit themselves yet.
Yeah, we are all rooting for you, Olivia. We've been talking a little bit, and we are so happy that even if the entire program is not like 100% reason why you decided to pivot, even if it's like a small percentage, we are so happy that it helped you in some way, and that's so exciting.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. I absolutely love everything that Women in 3D Printing does. So thank you guys all so much.
Yay. Alex.
I think for me, what was really contagious was Finn's enthusiasm for startups and his experience kind of growing Origin. And so I've definitely adopted a bit more of an interest in that. Like I applied to do a course now at Stern where we work with startups for the Endless Frontier Labs. And I'm just looking to do more with that next semester, thanks to this mentorship program in particular.
Awesome. Lirana.
Yeah, I don't know about necessarily a pivot, but in terms of my own work, it has helped me then have more rich conversations with customers as I'm doing customer interviewing to understand what our customers need, and more able to, having been given a lot of insight from Julie of like, what their space is like, what the process is like, then have that conversation and be using more of their same language. So it was really beneficial that way.
Yeah, I think your big pivot was like coming to the industry. So yeah, I guess
that's true. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Not many people know this, but I am doing a pivot of my own. So I've been thinking about this for the past 8 months, really, and talking with my own manager at my company. But this program and my mentor, Stacy Del Vecchio, have really helped me jump to from a corporate role to a more factory-based role, which I'll be starting on August 2nd in our company. It is a huge thing for me because I've always been in like additive manufacturing research, very core research, technical research, and then I was in this corporate role, but now I'm gonna be on the actual manufacturing side of things. So it's a very big jump for me. And I'm so glad that Stacy was there to kind of talk it out, and she gave me awesome, amazing advice, which helped me take this jump. So yeah, a big pivot for me. Okay, this was awesome. Thank you, Alex, Olivia, and Lirana for your time and sharing your experiences. Hope you can talk with everybody else in the networking session. And now we will have our awesome mentors on stage.
Thank you, Rashmi, and congrats.
Thank you. If we can have Audrey and Smriti turn on their microphones and cameras. Hello.
Hey, Rashmi.
Hi, Audrey. Hi, Smriti. Let's kick it off with introductions, please. Audrey.
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Audrey Vandy Castle. I'm based in Baltimore, Maryland, and I work for Stanley Black & Decker. Stanley Black & Decker is the world's largest tools and storage company. We make a lot of different brands that you've probably heard of. DeWalt, Porter Cable, Craftsman, Irwin, Lennox, obviously Stanley and Black & Decker are our brands as well. I lead our makerspace, and I also lead our technology pillar of our workforce readiness team, which is a team that looks at upskilling our hourly workforce in our plants and our distribution centers. So additive is really in many of the facets of my job, and I'm really passionate about bringing women into STEM and STEM careers and holding it down for ladies in the space. So excited to be here today.
Awesome. Smriti?
Everyone, I'm Dr. Smriti Zanaveld. I'm the founder of Lazarus 3D. We're actually in a really unique space. We 3D print body parts and organs in soft tissue mimicking materials using our own additive technology. And the purpose of it is basically to improve patient outcomes and giving surgeons an opportunity that they've never had before, which is to rehearse their surgery before they operate. I'm the founder of Lazarus 3D. We're a startup, and it was a really great opportunity for me to participate as a mentor. I think it was me being a mentor technically, but also being a mentee through this relationship. So I think I got to learn a lot.
Awesome. Okay, let's start off with what you thought about the mentee panel and what you heard from them. Yeah, Audrey.
Sure. Yeah, no, it was great to hear some of that feedback from the mentees. I think it speaks to the power that this organization has. And I think that's what's so cool about women in 3D printing is that it is really accepting. And that's what I find in this industry, especially with other women, is that everyone has kind of the same goals, right? Rising tide raises all ships, right? So it was really great to hear that they had good experiences. And I think even from the mentor side, we had really good experiences too. In any mentor-mentee relationship, I feel like it's always a two-way street, right? The mentor is always learning as well. So I think it's a really valuable experience.
Very true. Smriti, what did you think about what the mentees had to say earlier?
Yeah, I think I will agree with them that, you get what you ask for, right? So you really need to take that initiative to ask for help in the areas that you're seeking help. And it sounded like a lot of them were entrepreneurial and were interested on the business development side of things, which I think my mentee was more interested, I guess, like I would say also on how businesses work, how startup life works, and also technical aspects of things. So I think that it was really good for them to have that sort of preemptive knowledge of what they were seeking. so they could optimize on the help that they received.
Okay, just following up on that, do you think the mentees, when they come in with a list of things that they would like to get out of the program, as mentors, how flexible do you think they need to be to work with you? Because maybe the questions they have are not, maybe you're not the right people to answer those questions. So what advice would you give to mentees in this?
I think that's okay. I think it's okay for them to have a list. I think I would encourage that, because otherwise you just kind of like left stranded and you're like, hey, I'm your mentor, I don't know what I'm doing. Right? So I think that's better. And if I can't help them or advise them in a specific area where they're seeking help, it's okay, because I have a network and I can always connect them with those right people that are a better fit for helping them, answering their specific questions where I couldn't be of help. So I think it's okay. I think it's better for them to have that list ahead of time.
Yeah, I really valued that. I think it was, my mentee, sometimes she would email me a list of questions the day before, like, here's what I want to ask you tomorrow, right? And I thought that's actually really valuable, because then I know I can do some critical thinking ahead of time or make sure I have the right resources available for her. And so I really I think that's a good best practice if you're looking at this mentorship for the next cohort, having some of those like questions that you want answered, or even topics that you're like, I'm not really sure about this, right? And even outside of 3D printing, I had conversations with my mentee just about how to like use LinkedIn to network, and what's the point of going to like a networking session, and what am I supposed to say there, right? So I think that this is the type of platform to get feedback from women and people that are in the industry that have experienced it, and coming to the table with those questions. It shows that you're prepared and that you're thinking about it and engaged, but it helps us as your mentor to give you the best experience.
Okay, very helpful advice from both of you. Thanks. So next question for both of you, but more for Audrey, because Audrey, I know that in your current role, a huge part of it is actually helping people develop themselves, and workforce development is something that you're very passionate about. And I'm sure you participated in many mentorship programs. Like, what would you say was different about this particular program for you?
Yeah, I definitely have been in a few different mentorship programs, both as a mentee and as a mentor. So I've seen both sides, right? And I find that the less successful programs have less structure. And I thought that the structure of this program was really perfect. I thought that the time frame was really good. And I also thought that the resources that Women in 3D Printing provided for not only the mentees, but the mentors, questions to ask, topics to cover, I thought that was really valuable, because sometimes you don't get that when you're going into a mentor program. They don't kind of lay out, like, sometimes you just need it spelled out. Hey, talk about these topics, and that can be really helpful. So I think that that's a really important and valuable resource that Women in 3D Printing was able to provide for the sessions. I thought that was great, and I really liked that.
Okay, I think you'll be very happy to hear that when we were looking at who applied for Cohort 1, more than 70% of both mentors and mentees were female. And I know you're really passionate about bringing women into STEM, so just wanted to share that tidbit with you.
That's awesome. That's a great stat.
Yeah. Smriti, what do you think?
I think I've mentored mostly K-12, like college kids or high schoolers that are local to me always. So last year, like for the last 5 years, I was in Houston, and so I was working with the local universities, community colleges, and even younger than that, like 6th graders and 7th graders through our local program at the museum. And then moving to Oregon, I've also worked with mostly college students that are young entrepreneurs. I have never worked with an international cohort of mentees. So I think that was interesting for me. My mentee was from Nigeria. And I think there is just communications, even like there is some differences from cultural perspective. So I think I got to learn about that. And I think we all have like this expectation of how we communicate. So I think, getting exposed to that through a mentee and learning from him was really a different kind of experience for me. And this has never happened before, but in this opportunity where I was serving as a mentor, I was actually pitching to Kevin O'Leary, from Shark Tank.
I
Mr.
remember, yeah.
Yeah, and so this just happened. It aligned so well with mentoring Obiora, who's my mentee. And I was like, hey, I know that you're in a different time zone, but I'm about to pitch on Shark Pitch, and it's to Kevin, and I think you'd really benefit from it if you can join. And so I don't even know what time it was in Nigeria, but he hopped on, he joined in, and he had like the biggest reaction to that event, and like he was baffled by the fact that I was pitching on live TV. Like it was virtual because it was COVID, but I think that for me it was obviously a really exciting experience, but for him as a mentee, he was like, damn, my mentor is pitching to Kevin O'Leary. Like that was really, I think, a really good experience for both of us. And I think I want to highlight that something he wrote to me. Actually, he emailed me immediately after the presentation, and he said, it was amazing watching you present what is to me a groundbreaking application of 3D printing in medicine. And I was just like so touched by that. I think I might have cried. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it was really nice. Yeah. I think that the program, as Audrey said, is structured. So we had our meeting scheduled ahead of time, and I was even able to link with him on WhatsApp, given the time differences. So I think it went okay. I think it could have gone a little bit better if he was here, like, even in the US, there are 3 different time zones. So I deal with that every day. But I think it would have helped if it was a little bit easier logistically to organize our meetings, because we also had internet disruption sometimes. But overall, I would say that it was a really great program. And I think there was a very well-diversified portfolio of mentors to help, what the mentees were seeking.
Thank you so much for sharing that, the email that you got from your mentee. When I saw you on Shark Tank, I was like, that is so cool. I just need to go and connect with her, and because I want to see what you do next. So very happy to hear that. And definitely about the time zone, we will try and make sure to connect people from the same time zones. It's not always possible because we have mentors concentrated in certain regions, but we also want to give importance to the fact that the topic of interest may not match well with the time zone, but that is great feedback for our team. Next question, anything surprising that you learned from your mentee? Actually, let's take it back a bit. What did you discuss with your particular mentees? Like, what was the topic of discussion? What advice did you give to them? And then anything surprising that you learned from them? Audrey?
Sure, yeah. So I talked with my mentee about the different types of 3D printing. You know, she had taken a 3D printing class a couple semesters before, but still didn't feel very confident in her knowledge about 3D printing in general. And she was going into an internship this summer that had to do with 3D printing. There was going to be 3D printing involved, right? So she was feeling a little nervous about that. So I helped gave her some deep dives into the different types of 3D printing and the different phrases and vocabulary in 3D printing. We also talked a lot about, like I said, just general efficiency in work and how to work and how to manage your time, right? She was struggling with her commitments in school and homework, and she's on a sports team as well in school. But she also wants to follow these passions and explore, right? So I helped her kind of frame how to think about things, just as someone who's, going to be leaving college soon and moving into a working life, right? How do you manage and balance that work and that life balance? And so we talked about priorities and different tips and tricks for how to think and streamline, and also networking and how to get yourself out there and use that as a lever to further your career or even start a career. So we really ran the gamut from technical, in-depth 3D printing demos and discussion all the way down into, soft skills and life skills.
Yeah. So anything surprising that you learned from your mentee?
I'm sure there was something, but I can't think of it on the spot. I think one fun anecdote, which I think really speaks to the nature of my mentee, she's so sweet, Marissa, was she, on our first meeting, she was in her dorm room. She's a Hopkins student, and there was a fire alarm going off. And it was in her building, and I was talking, and she was so patient and waited for me to finish talking before she was like, I need to go see what's going on because there's a fire alarm going. So she let me talk for like 2 minutes with a fire alarm blaring, and then she had to like leave the session because there was a fire alarm in her building. So I thought that was really fun, but I could tell that she was like really nervous to interrupt me. But I think that it really speaks to like the eagerness of the people to participate in the mentorship program, and just how really dedicated they are to it. So I thought that was a fun anecdote.
Yeah, everybody's safe, so it's very funny.
Yes, exactly. No real fire.
Yeah. Smriti?
My mentee was Oviora, and he was a mechanical engineering student in his final year. And so I would say he was very excited to have this opportunity to learn about the applications of 3D printing in a space that he didn't have a lot of knowledge. So we spent a lot of our first meeting sort of talking about why I started this and how I, identified the problem and why, or what was the journey in finding the solution. And so I think he got really interested in problem solving, like problem solution, like thinking like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the topics that we had sort of begun this path, and it didn't quite end where we wanted it to, but it's okay, because it's a learning process. And so we started this little mini project where I'd asked him to go identify real world problems that are maybe local or regional or national or internet, like something affecting everybody globally. And so I told him, you don't need to be like solving world hunger. It's okay. I mean, if you want to, go for it, but maybe start with something small. And so we talked about, what are all these problems that he can work and sort of stick to, or don't restrict yourself, but try to think of solutions using additive. How can additive solve those problems? And so this is one thing that we sort of had a little mini project. And I think he had a lot of ideas. And I was like, how is additive going to solve this problem? And so then he's like, oh, right. And so I think it was like a learning process for him. And I hope that he enjoyed this journey of thinking that way. It's a different way to think. It's not something that you just accept the reality and don't do anything about it. It's like you've identified a problem and now you're going to work towards what you can do as a student, to make a change. Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's so creative, and I'm sure it was super fun for him to go through it. And then I had a comment about what you said, Audrey. Even with my mentor, my discussions were technical, but then we also spoke about how do we balance everything, and it's relatable. Like anybody can give me advice about how to balance your priorities, but when it comes from somebody who's in the industry, then it's relatable for me, right? So I think that's very important for the mentees. Thank you both. So, we heard from the mentees that they were a little nervous to speak with their mentors in the beginning. Anybody can be, right? What advice do you have for future mentees who are like nervous maybe to speak to their mentors? Would you just tell them to be brave and go for it?
I think that's definitely one way to look at it. But I think also, having the courage to tell your mentor, hey, I'm nervous, right? Sometimes like that can help us, hey, maybe we'll crack a joke or something, right? It help you warm you up. But I think that keep in mind that we volunteered to do this. We want to talk to you, and that we are here like as a resource for you. So the nerves are totally understandable, and your mentor might be nervous to talk to you, right? So I think that, getting over that hump is important, and being real with your mentor, like, oh, I'm nervous or I'm not great at public speaking, but also maybe that's something that you can work on with your mentor, right? If you're nervous talking to people in leadership positions or presenting or storytelling, maybe that's an area that you can work on with your mentor through your mentorship. So nerves are cool, but we're here to help you, so no need to be nervous.
Smriti?
We're juggling through a lot. My mentee. So in Nigeria, I think the education system for students in college is different. I think in their final year, they're supposed to do some sort of a commitment to the government. And I don't know if it's through the army or the military equivalent there, but it's some sort of a commitment, and it's not optional. And then also at the same time, he was applying for jobs, and he was doing his exams and his finals. So I think he was juggling through a lot, and plus trying to schedule time with me. As I mentioned earlier, with us being in sort of like different parts of the world, was not easy also. So he would try to find time like late at night and make that work. So I think I would applaud him for his efforts in making time I think that they're going through a lot. So I'm happy that I was able to help, hopefully in any way that I could.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I can't imagine the stress that your mentee is going through, but it sounds like he's brave and handling everything well. Okay, last question for you all. You'll have many mentees. I'm sure you have many mentees over the past few years. Would you encourage your mentees to stay in touch with you? Can they send you an email if they have any questions in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people, hey, I'm an open book. I'm here to help. Like I said, I'm here to reach down and pull up as many women into STEM as we can into the additive space. So I'm always happy to talk to people, answer questions, whether they're my mentee or not, honestly.
Yeah, I would also agree. I would say that it would be helpful to maybe have a directory for all the mentors. This is something that, so as a startup founder, we went through, a couple of accelerators. And so we have a directory of all our mentors. And so they're sort of, sort of grouped into categories as like legal, IP, business development, product launch, sales, marketing, regulatory. So they're all lumped into different categories. And I think that it probably will help the mentees. Maybe somebody may have had a question that they didn't get answered through this program. And so maybe Audrey might be a better person to answer that question. So I think they should have access to all of us.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for your time. And it was awesome to hear the advice from both of you. We had a number of questions about the mentorship program itself. So I'm going to show you a couple of slides and let's see what this is all about. Thank you, ladies. So it was awesome to hear from our mentees and mentors. If you're interested in knowing more about this program, let's take a minute to walk through it. So the mentorship program is basically, we have links where you can apply to be a mentee or a mentor. The program lasts for 3 months. So the expectation there is that when we match you with a mentee or mentor, we expect you to meet at least 3 times in those 3 months. And if you would like to stay in touch with them more, you can absolutely do that. So since the mentees and mentors are all in the additive manufacturing industry, it's a lot about what are you interested, for mentees, what are you interested to do in your career in the future? And what is it that you can learn from the mentor? We advise you to come with a list of questions that you can ask. And for the mentors, we try to show them the pool of mentees that we have and their different interest areas so that they can go and work with somebody who they feel like will, they can answer a number of questions that the mentee may have. So that is like the basic overall structure of the program. But actually, let's go to the next slide. Initially, our team, the Women in 3D Printing Next Gen team, had thought that we want to do this mentorship program every quarter, but we have decided to do it twice every year because we would like to implement a more high quality program for all of you. So the next mentorship program is going to be in September. The application due date is on July 30th, and I will put the links in the general chat to apply to be a mentee or mentor, so you can find those. And as I mentioned, our team will take the time to go through all the mentee and mentor applicants, see what their interests are, maybe try to see the time zones match too, if possible, and then match them, pair them. And then we will communicate with you to say that, hey, you've been matched with so-and-so. That will be done on August 23rd. And then we will have the program kickoff on September 9th. The program kickoff will basically give you a number of resources. For example, what are the kind of questions you can ask your mentee, or what are the topics you can discuss with your mentor. We give suggestions about how can you connect, Zoom, or like video conferencing. If you're close by, maybe you can even meet them. And we just try to provide some guidance on how to make it happen for you. So that's the gist of the program. For those of you who have been wondering whether to apply for the program or not, I hope that the experiences that our mentees and mentors shared were enough to make you take the leap. We are sure that this will be a very good use of your time if you want to give back to the next generation of professionals, or if you want to jumpstart your career, then this is the place to be. So you can reach out to me or Janet Carr if you have any questions. And last but not the least, we are always looking for volunteers. I think volunteering is a great way to build relationships with everybody in the additive industry, and also to give back to the community, really. My experience of volunteering has been so beautiful. Like, I always feel inspired with what the team is able to achieve. Everybody is doing a full-time job, or they have a full-time gig happening, but everybody is so passionate about this that they are taking time out of their schedule to make it happen. So it really inspires me a lot, and I feel so happy to be a part of this. So if you would like to volunteer with us, please reach out to me or Janet, and we can help you understand if there's more programs, not only the mentorship program. There are a number of things we're doing. We can help you find the right fit. So with that, I had a question. Ashley had a question in the should we reapply for the next cohort? I think Janet answered that, but it doesn't hurt to go through the link again. Thank you for being patient with us. We're still figuring everything out. This was our first cohort, and we're going to go into our second cohort. So maybe just go to the link and reapply again, just to make sure that you're in our system, and we will reach out to you, or you can reach out to us if you have any questions. So with that, Janet, I don't know if I'm forgetting anything, so maybe you can pop up here, show everybody your face. And Janet is the person who pulled me into this, so thank you very much, Janet.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rashmi, for bringing this event together and hosting everybody. It did take a big team to make this happen, so quick shout out to Mary Hadley, CEO of Maker Girl, Mira, who recently is doing her MBA at MIT, so awesome. We also have Julie Miller from NASA, who's volunteering, as well as Marina from Google X. So we have like a fantastic team. I probably left some out, but beyond the mentorship team, which we have a wonderful, group of folks volunteering, we also are backed by an amazing group of Women in 3D Printing Next Gen leaders, volunteers who are working on ways to help bring more insight into, learning about careers in additive manufacturing. So the next virtual event that Women in 3D Printing Next Gen is hosting is about 3D printing construction. So if you're interested, do sign up to our newsletter, as we are going to be making that announcement soon. And then on top of that, we recently started launching this program called Career Cards. So if you're a student interested in interviewing a professional and creating some career cards, like baseball cards, that can help shine light on their career path, so that we can help more folks learn about how it is to become Rashmi, train as an additive manufacturing application engineer in the future, you can do that. So feel free to click on that volunteer application form link, share a bit of information about what you want to do, and then maybe Women in 3D Printing can be a place for you to express that as well. Anything else, Rashmi?
Let's jump back onto the floor and talk with people.
Awesome. So over the next 18 minutes, we are still going to keep the virtual floors open. So feel free to hop from table to table. Don't be shy. Just feel free to turn on your camera and mic and introduce yourself. We'd love to get to know you as a community. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.